The sound of the train tracks was a constant hum beneath the cold, heavy air. The station was quiet, save for the shuffling of commuters and the occasional screech of a train pulling in. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow over everything until you reached the far corner, just past the waiting benches. There, tucked against the wall, was a small bookshelf, worn with age. It wasn't part of the station's official decor. No one had asked for it. It had simply appeared one morning, unnoticed by most, but cherished by a few. The books were all mismatched, some cracked, some with dog-eared pages, and they sat there, inviting you to pause, to lose yourself for just a moment in their stories. They didn't belong in a place like this. They were out of time, tucked away in a forgotten corner of the modern world. A small rebellion against the hurried lives passing through the station. And there she was, the woman in the scarf, always there. Every morning, she stood by that shelf, her fingers brushing gently over the spines. She wasn't a librarian or a worker at the station. She was simply a presence, as regular as the trains themselves. No one ever spoke to her. Not really, but everyone knew her. Hello and welcome to Everyday Epiphany, where simple stories spark soulful insights. Sit back, enjoy the journey, and may it brighten your day. I first noticed her one rainy Tuesday. The kind of rain that didn't seem to stop, just kept falling in a steady drizzle, blurring the world into soft outlines. I was running late, of course, as usual. The train was delayed, but I wasn't in any real rush to get anywhere. That's when I saw her standing at the bookshelf, her hand on a book, gazing out the window as the rain tapped against the glass. Something about her stillness caught my attention, and I found myself walking over, drawn in, despite myself. I didn't know what I was expecting. A conversation, maybe, or a smile. But when I got closer, I saw that she was reading a page in a small journal, the edges worn with time. The old pages looked almost fragile. "Excuse me," I said, unsure of myself. Do you read these often?" She turned slowly, as if surprised to see someone standing there. Her eyes were warm, though slightly tired, and her smile was kind but distant. "Oh, yes," she replied, her voice soft. "I come here every morning, even if I'm not taking the train. These books have stories, you know. Not all of them are written in words. Some of them are just memories." She closed the journal and returned it to the shelf, then looked back at me. "There's something about old books. They hold knowledge. And when you let them rest in places like this, they start to tell stories of their own." I was intrigued. The station had always felt like a transient space to me, nothing more than a place to pass through. But she was talking about it as if it had history, as if it carried meaning beyond its utilitarian purpose. "I never really thought about it that way," I admitted. "I guess I always just pass by." She nodded slowly, her eyes flicking back to the bookshelf, now seemingly alive with stories I'd never noticed. "It's easy to forget," she said, "but we all have stories. And sometimes, the places we visit, like this station, hold more than just our destinations. They hold everything we leave behind, everything we've forgotten." We stood there for a moment, the rain continuing its quiet serenade. I could hear the trains arriving in the distance, but they felt far away in that moment. "You know," she continued, "I came across this one book a few weeks ago. It was buried at the back of the shelf, so forgotten that it seemed like it didn't belong there. But when I opened it, it had the most beautiful line, 'Memory is not something we keep, it's something we are.'" I felt the weight of her words. "That's beautiful," I said softly. She smiled, her gaze distant once more, as if remembering something of her own. "Yes, it is. And it reminded me of something I learned a long time ago. You see, Knowledge isn't always about what you remember. Sometimes, it's about what you've forgotten. She turned back to the shelf, her fingers grazing over the old books once more. It was as if they held secrets only she knew, whispered by the pages themselves. And then, as if the conversation had ended, she nodded and walked away, leaving me alone with the quiet station and the stories in the books. I didn't see her again for a few days, and then one morning, just as the trains were starting to get crowded, I found myself back at the bookshelf. There were no more journals on the shelf, only a few dusty novels, their covers faded and their spines creaking with age. I stood there, letting the words of that woman linger in my mind. What was it about the old books, the forgotten memories, that struck me so deeply? I pulled one of the novels from the shelf. It was an old paperback, its title worn away, but the smell of the pages took me back to a time I couldn't quite place. I opened it to the first page and started reading. The first words I saw were simple. Memory is not something we keep, it's something we are. I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was the same line she had shared with me. The same book, the same forgotten treasure, tucked away in this station, waiting for someone to find it. I hadn't expected it to be there. It was like finding a piece of my own forgotten self, something I had left behind. And in that moment, I understood. It wasn't just the books that held knowledge. It was the stories we lived and the things we left behind, the small memories that formed the foundation of who we are. Her words reminded me of something I once read in the book Thief by Marcus Zusak. In that novel, death reflects on the way people live and how we hold on to our memories, even though we may not always realize it. There's a line that stays with me. The book was better, a simple yet profound truth, not just about books, but about the stories we carry within us, the ones we forget, the ones we tell ourselves, and the ones we live. In a way, this small, forgotten bookshelf was a microcosm of the larger world. It was a reminder that even in places where time seems to stand still, there's always something waiting to be rediscovered. A memory, a lesson, a piece of who we used to be. As I walked away from the station that morning, I realized that we're all like those old books. We gather dust and wear as time goes on. We forget things, memories, dreams, even parts of ourselves. But that doesn't mean we've lost them. Sometimes, it's in the quiet, forgotten corners of our lives that we find the stories that matter the most. So maybe today, take a moment to open a book, or even just close your eyes. Let the memories come. And remember, you are more than what you've kept. You are what you've forgotten, too. Thank you for being here with us at Everyday Epiphany. If today's story touched your heart or sparked a thought, subscribe and stay with us. Your next epiphany might just be one story away.